There you go. Go ahead, Jeffrey. It's all yours.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. First of all, we'll do intros, but little housekeeping. If you're familiar, if you're not that familiar with Zoom, you'll see in the top right a little view. If you click on view and then speaker, you'll get a speaker view today. If you have any questions, please drop them in chat, and we'll either do them live or we'll take them at the end. I guess I'll make an executive decision. We are recording the event live and in person. So I'll let you make the decision if you want to leave your camera on and off, but we are recording as of now. Let me welcome everyone to this Lunch and Learn. Thank you very much. We have some people outside the US, so I'm going to say good afternoon or good evening, possibly wherever you're at. We're global. It's wonderful. So thank you. We appreciate you joining. A few intros. Nikki is off screen. Nikki Caboose is the CEO of Tech Hub. I'm going to be your host for today. I am Jeffrey Ullman. I'm Director of Member and Partner Engagement. I am based here in sunny, it's sunny today, Boca Raton, Florida. I want to thank you again for joining. Couple of quick tidbits about Tech Hub, and then I'll introduce the speakers. We are a nonprofit. We do support a broad range of members, nonprofits, government agencies, startups, all the way up to global multinational companies. So we have a great mix of companies. We do take our name seriously, South Florida Tech Hub. And for those of you maybe aren't in South Florida, this will be a little geographic lesson. We support Miami-Dade County, which is where Miami is, Broward County, which is where Fort Lauderdale and other cities are, Palm Beach County, Boca Raton, West Palm Beach, where I'm located. And our newest member to the family is Martin County, which includes Jensen Beach, Jupiter, and other cities as well, kind of called the Treasure Coast. That's a new area for us, and we have our first happy hour coming up next month in June, and I'll talk a little about that. So we do sponsor a lot of in-person events. We had a very well-attended happy hour last night in Miami, and we do a lot of virtual events like this Lunch and Learn. We are a nonprofit, so we have a lot of societal goals as well. One of which I'm very proud of is we support a lot of underserved communities in STEM. We need to support all those communities because we want to enlarge the community. A couple of quick things to stay abreast of what Tech Hub is doing. And Nikki, if you'll drop these in the chat, if you don't already subscribe to the newsletter, I'd suggest you do that. Follow us on Eventbrite for all our events, both live and virtual. And follow us on LinkedIn. We're very active on LinkedIn. So I think that's enough of me. I want to thank Bravent, a new member based in Madrid. I don't know if y'all are in Madrid now. I think you are. So we are a global organization based here in South Florida. So we have Bravent presenting today. So I'm going to let Leah introduce herself, talk a little about Bravent, and then introduce our speaker for today. But before I do that, Nikki, anything I leave out you want to add real quick?
Nope, I think you guys are all good.
Okay, so I'm going to be quiet now. Leah, over to you. And thank you, Bravent, for presenting.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Nikki. Hi, guys. My name is Leah Radovic. I work for Bravent. Today I'm with my colleague Eduardo Garcia, who is our artificial intelligence technical lead. It's an honor for us to be here. We are really proud to be part of the South Tech Hub, and actually this is our first webinar with you guys. So Eduardo, please, do you mind sharing your screen so I can explain to the people a little bit about Bravent?
Absolutely.
Wait, let me see. You're able to see Eduardo's screen?
Not yet.
Oh, yeah, Eduardo.
Okay. Let's start
It looks
again.
like he was thinking.
Hold on. I'm so sorry for the technical. We're Microsoft partners, so with you, we are really used to Microsoft Teams. I'm sorry for the mistakes. No, Eduardo, thank
We
you.
can see it now.
Thank you. So, me and Eduardo, we are both part of Braven. Braven is a software development company. We are Microsoft partners, as you said. And the company is like a global company. We have offices in Spain where we have the headquarters, and we used open 2 years ago. I'm sorry, a year and a half ago, our first international office in Miami. But we're also in Doha, Qatar, and now we're opening also in South America in Lima, Peru. It's a company we have 10 years. Actually, this year we get to the 10 years. We are around 120 people working globally. We are a full global company, fully remote fully remote company. The different about our company comparing to our Microsoft partners company is the fact that we love working with innovation. I mean, even when I say this is really true, we do a lot of work in artificial intelligence, mixed reality, business intelligence, cloud computer, and actually also in the metaverse. So actually today, Eduardo is going to be speaking about OpenAI technologies and also ChatGPT, which I believe is going to be amazing for you to learn more about this. Eduardo, do you mind please going to the next slide? Thank you. So as company, as you said, as Microsoft partners, we do have a lot of recognitions from them. We are mixed reality partners because we started working with everything about HoloLens, if you're familiar with that technology. We also have one of the most difficult advanced specializations that we can accomplish, which is the AI and machine learning advanced specialization. And also we are HoloLens resellers. So if you're ever interested in HoloLens, you can speak to us. Next one, please, Eduardo. These are some of the clients we have worked with for you to get an idea of how big we are as a company. Eduardo, please, the last one, so I don't bother, and then we can go to the action with you. And finally, as our expertise for you, if you want to know more a little bit about that, we do a lot of Azure Cloud as Microsoft partners. We also work a lot with the Dynamics 365, extended reality and metaverse, as I just mentioned, artificial intelligence and data, IoT, and also some other work. So today, Eduardo is going to be speaking about OpenAI. But Eduardo, please, do you mind going to the next slide? But if you want to know more about any other topic, about any other technology topic that you might be interested, I'm going to leave this QR code on the chat for you to read the QR code, and then you can send us some ideas about another talk that you would like to know a little bit more. Thank you very much. And I'm going to leave you with my colleague, Eduardo. He's as I said, our artificial intelligence technical lead in the area. He's one of the biggest experts I know in the company about artificial intelligence and machine learning. So do not be afraid. He speaks English and Spanish. So if you want to know anything or if you have any questions during the talk, please ask him, because he's like the most intelligent and capable person on this area. Eduardo, is all yours. Also Spanglish, yeah, Nikki.
I feel strange like, after these words. Thank you very much, Leah. Thank you very much for the organization, for letting me to be here to present all of this about OpenAI, generative AI, and also talking about Azure, oriented in business applications. So thank you very much for the organization. It's a big pleasure to be here with all of you. So as I was commenting earlier, I am Eduardo Garcia. I am the Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning Technical Lead at Braven. And today we are going to talk about generative AI and the different models and how it's implemented in the Azure platform and different use cases that we are actually developing to get the real value. So before I want to do a quick definition here, it's about what is generative AI, right? Everyone is talking about generative AI, but just to put some focus on this, generative AI models use neural networks to identify the patterns and structures in all the training data that have been used during this training process in order to generate new and original content. This is pretty important because the content that will be built by these generative models is based in the training data, but it's new data based in estimation and probability using this training data. So this is really common, and that's why there is many social discussions about the rights and what the AI can provide here, right? So as you know, OpenAI here, I'm sure that everyone knows it, is one of the companies which is populating all of these models, all of these generative models, and it's a social debate, a social discussion that everyone is talking. And one of these is OpenAI, and we are going to talk today about the three most important models in OpenAI, but this is just for do a quick description and a quick summary about all of this that I'm sure that everyone knows a lot about this. But however, if you have any question and you want to be more focused on any of these models or whatever, it's a pleasure to me to be more focused on this. So as I was commenting in this description, there are three models that are the most important from OpenAI. The first one is GPT. GPT, everyone is talking about that. It's a model oriented to human-like language generation. So as everyone knows, we type some text, and we interact using text with GPT, and GPT returns to us a new content based on text. So oriented like a human can learn from a specific text and provide a response to us. The second one is DALL. DALL is a realistic image generation with which we can type a description of an image, and this model can provide to us, can understand the context of the prompt or the question that we are providing to this model and assess exactly what do you want to paint and provide to you a specific image with this context. This is really impressive because these models is not just understand a little bit what do you want to comment, is something more, is understand the context, understand the role, and understand any feature that you want to build here with this model. For example, GPT, if you want to build some paragraph or text, or DALL if you want to build some image. And finally, no less important, but for me it's really interesting, is Codex. Codex is the advanced code generation. It's very useful for developers and software engineers when we want to develop some piece of code, or we want to develop some unit tests, for example, that I'm sure that all software engineers think that this is a really tedious task, but this model can provide us bits of code really good and with a really good accuracy. Just putting and typing some comments and bullet points, and it can provide us a good piece of code, and it's really interesting. But however, this is, as you can see, in the same batch. So generate new content using training data before. So in this webinar, we are going to be focused on GPT, the human-like language generation. I'm sure that everyone has been working with ChatGPT and the playground of GPT in OpenAI. It's this big box in where we can put some comments like the text, few questions. We can provide context, and also I think very important here, we can provide a role, because sometimes when we are talking with the model, it's different, the response. If I am Eduardo Garcia, the technical lead of AI, or I am Eduardo Garcia, the father of 2 children. So it's different if I want to detect or to extract different responses, right? So in this case, this is a classic example in where we want to say, okay, summarize this, but for a second grade student. So we want to have a specific summarize of the following text, but for this role. So if we write this one, we can return this from GPT. So Jupiter is a very big and bright planet, blah blah blah. Let's take a look in the very big term. So if we want to define or to explain what is Jupiter to a second grade student, maybe we will use this kind of terms. So GPT is understanding the context, so that it needs to summarize this text, but also is also understanding the role to the user that must be provide the result. So it's really interesting. Also really interesting, for example, for people like me, if we want to translate something to Spanish, since this is my mother language, or any language around the world, it works really good. So we can use this GPT model in a really good ways. I want to make a difference here. I am talking about GPT and not ChatGPT, because ChatGPT finally is the interface with which we are working with GPT. But in this case, we are talking about GPT, the model, the brain. So if you take a look in the different documentation that we have, I always comment that if we want to take a look in a good documentation, we have the OpenAI documentation and also the Azure OpenAI documentation if you want to work with different libraries and with different use cases. In this case, this information is in the OpenAI documentation, and it's great, and I recommend to all of you to take a look, because you can see many examples here to work with GPT. And if you click here, you can check it out, even the code that you should use to apply some use cases. For example, we have here the summaries for a second grader. So this is the example that we tried before. But in this case, it's not just only to use it in the playground. This example provides us the piece of code if we want to develop, for example, in Python or in some language, how we must build the prompt to have to extract this information, and also the parameters of the GPT. So it's really interesting, and that's why I always want to share this one to everyone's know it. We have different ones like SQL translate natural language to secure queries. This is great, right? If we have a database and we want to explore some data, and we want to prompt to send a text an input text just as a natural language, because maybe I don't know SQL server languages, or I cannot complete a query to explore a database. Imagine that. So we can use this kind of model to provide us an answer with a specific code that we could use in our cases. So it's really great. Also, we have Python bug fixer that if I comment with some colleagues here in my team, this is really good to find different errors that we could find in our code, and also to classifier and so on. So we have many examples here. Once we were commenting about OpenAI and the different models and everything, I want to be focused now in Azure OpenAI. Now we made a quick summary about OpenAI, but what is happening here with Azure? OpenAI and Azure and Microsoft has a really great relationship with. OpenAI is providing these models using the Microsoft infrastructure to train and to have all the servers and everything. And that's great. But Microsoft right now is providing to us these models, but using something like a black box, that this is many security layers that provide us a really enterprise-ready enterprise application. So it's not just only to use GPT-3, GPT-4, Codex, DALL, or wherever. It's also scale up these applications in order to have many resources here, but with the security of Azure platform, with the security of Microsoft, and the security to be ready to use it in an enterprise environment. So this is great relationship in our case, and we can start building many applications with these resources really fast. For example, as I was commenting, we can provide in Azure, we can deploy it in the Azure subscription, these resources in a secure with many security layers. We can use many pre-trained AI models to unlock new scenarios. For example, Azure is providing to us many years ago pre-trained models, pre-trained by them, but also now they are adding just not only models by them, also OpenAI models. So this can provide us many use cases and business scenarios that we could use. So Azure OpenAI plus Microsoft AI. What is happening here? With Azure platform, we already have many applications that can be integrated themselves. For example, we have the Azure Cognitive Services. What is the Azure Cognitive Services? The Azure Cognitive Services are pre-trained models that Azure are providing to us to implement very fast in our applications with a really good performance, and also enjoying and applying a good time to market in order to provide very fast results in any projects, and also a good prototype to start the iteration and continue so on. So, for example, what is a Azure Cognitive Service here? For example, there is different fields, and one of them is vision. And inside vision, there is a pre-trained model that is called custom vision. With this custom vision, they provided to us a big neural network, and we can use the transfer learning from that neural network. And we just need to add few images, for example, 5, 8, 10, more or less. And with that, we can get a new custom vision model for us, just oriented for our business case. So it's really easy and really fast to have our pre-training models, very cheap also to train and to do the inference in the future. And also we can extract these models and also integrate it with our data and AI architectures. So this is a pre-trained model for them, but we need, in this case, fine-tune with our own images. But we need really a really small batch of images. So it's great, and I recommend to everyone to start using it. There are more, for example, speech. If we want to do, for example, a conversion, the text to speech or speech to text, is really useful to start using this model and start and implement this application in our web applications or wherever, in order to have very fast, like connecting to resources, these results from the AI model to provide new use cases, as we were commenting. For example, as we were commenting before, as we are going to comment before, sorry, as we are going to comment later, we are going to comment how we can implement an OpenAI assistant with these OpenAI services like speech. So also we have language. Language, I want to stop a little bit here. Language, we have many models here, pre-training models, that we can start using without fine-tuning, but there is one that we are going to comment later, is the conversational language understanding. It's a pre-trained model that before OpenAI appears, many chatbots use, because this conversational language model provides us the functionality to fine-tune this model with different text that provides some context, and we can train this model to detect intents and entities. So, for example, remember Alexa, for example, if we want to say, Alexa, please play this song. I don't want to say any song because I don't want to have a discussion here, okay? Maybe later if you want. But play this song. So in this case, what will do this conversational language understanding? receive this Alexa play this song, and then will detect the intent music or whatever the intent that we pre-trained before, and then this will trigger new steps in the software engineering to do whatever. For example, go to the playlist, go to press the button play, and so on. But before that, we have a language understanding model in where we are pre-training to understand the intents. But now with OpenAI Service, we have more NLP, more natural language processing models that many people say that they can be replaced. So OpenAI can replace these language models, but I absolutely say no. I mean, in this webinar, we are going to comment how we can use both of them. And we have more Azure Cognitive Services, for example, also the anomaly detector if we want to detect anomalies in a time series, and so on. And the best of this is that we can use all of these models integrated in our architectures like an endpoint. So imagine an API with an endpoint. So we need just to retrain these models, deploy these models, and Azure will give us a specific endpoint, and we can use that endpoint using the scalability from Azure, using the security from Azure, and using all the infrastructure from Azure. That is great. So imagine if now they are adding OpenAI Service, this model, GPT model, DALL model, Codex model, in these terms. So we are having a good infrastructure to use this one. So for now, I always recommend that start using OpenAI from Azure platform instead of the playground that is open for everyone. And as I was commenting, it's really good integrated with different architectures and also with Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate.
Eduardo, this is Jeffrey. I don't mean to interrupt. Is there an issue? What I see is a chart with the title Azure AI. Is that the chart you still need to be on, or should it have advanced?
Sorry, could you repeat, please?
Sure. So what I see is a chart with the title of Azure AI and 4 or 5 different brackets. Is that where you mean to be at, or is it stuck and you meant to advance?
Yeah, well, this is used in different applications, and it's do you think about the hardness to use this cognitive services model, or the different use cases in where we could use it?
No, I'm asking, do you mean, sorry if I'm not clear, this chart that says Azure AI with the different levels, that's where you meant to be in your presentation, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. A couple of people, because you've talked a lot about this chart. There's a lot on this chart. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, sorry. Yeah, now I understood. Okay, thank you. Okay, so here we have many more resources, as we were commenting, like Azure Machine Learning and so on. So it's we have this this diagram in where we can see the different resources and how we can connect it between them to provide a good business use cases here. So how we can use OpenAI here? We can define three types. The first one is the sample model. The second one, the fine-tuned model. And the third one, the data connected model, that this is the most important for me. I mean, I am in love with the third one. Now I want to comment more deeply. The first one, the simple generic use case. As we understand, right? We have OpenAI, we have GPT, Azure OpenAI Service, and we ask to GPT, and GPT retrieve to us the response with information that we need. I don't know why it's changing the next slide. I think that there is an animation, so I'm sorry. But when we ask to GPT, we receive the response from GPT, the simple case. The second one, the fine-tune. GPT, or Azure OpenAI in this case, provided to us the possibility to get a private copy of the GPT model and provide our text, our context, or our domain knowledge. So we can provide our data in order to retrain and to have a private copy of this GPT model, but with our data. This is great, but this can be many, we can spend many time to have a good fine-tuned model. So that's why I want to be focusing the third one, the specific use case connected to the source of data. And this is for me the most important and the most with the most relevant in many use cases. Well, we have Azure OpenAI Service, and everyone is talking with GPT, and GPT is going to look into the repository, to the data repository that you already have, maybe documents, maybe databases, wherever, and you can provide, all of this information to GPT in order to build a good prompt and get a relevant response in terms of your own data. So it's not necessary to fine-tune the model. You need to get just only this data and provide this to the prompt. Like as we were doing before, we were building the prompt, we were doing, okay, please give me a summary of this text. And then GPT prepare this text and do a summary and provide it to us, the summary of this text. In this case, what we are doing, what we can do here, we can connect different data sources to GPT and provide this information to GPT in order to be very focused on this kind of data. So how it works, I want to be focused on this third part. How it works. Imagine that we already have 100 or 1,000 or whatever of documents in our data lake, right? We have a data lake and we have many documents there. So we can extract these, for example, PDF documents, and we are going to get the text per document. Let's see this data set, this data frame that can be an Excel file or a CSV file. And we can see the first column, that this is the text for each row. So this is the text for each document, and each row is a document. So we can build this data frame, and using OpenAI, but a different model, this is called embedding model, we can extract the vectors, the numeric vectors for each text. So for the first one, the row 0, we have that text, that is a specific document, and then we can get this vector. And now I'm going to comment why this is important. Then we are building the whole data set. So we have all the documents, each row is a document, we have the text and the vector provided by the embedding model from OpenAI. Now, let's see that we have GPT and we have this table. Okay, let's start connecting to GPT. We are going to type some question to GPT, and we want to provide the context of our internal data. So then what we are going to do? What we are going to do is, okay, GPT, this is my question. With this question, GPT will get the vector of my question, and then we'll compare this vector with all the vectors of our table. Therefore, we will be able to detect which is the document with more context about our question. So then we are going to get the text of this document, the document that will have the response of our user input, and then build the prompt, as we were commenting before with the example of the second graduate student, and then have their properly response in this context. And this is important because we are providing this text, this context to GPT using applications and everything that we are going to comment right now, but we are not spending many time labeling our internal data and everything. It's really fast. So that's why I recommend a lot to start using this thing. So which is the common use case, right? The common use case is the personal assistant. When OpenAI appeared, everyone was commenting that if we have a personal assistant, that we can have simple conversation, we can do a few use cases that provide us, well, yeah, here, that provide us information that we need. So, for example, have this simple conversation, data analysis. If we want a personal assistant, that provide data analysis of our databases. If I want to explore private documents, imagine that I am an energetic company and I need to explore some, for example, invoices to understand what is happening with my invoices. Then we need to provide this private document to GPT in order to understand what is happening there. And then GPT respond to us about that document that is not public. So GPT did not use this kind of information. And finally, also we can use, for example, for analyze URLs. If we use, for example, a GPT to analyze some URLs, they will respond to you that GPT is not able to go to a specific URL, extract information, and provide to you the details. But maybe in our personal assistant, we can do that, right? So this is the four use cases, the four common use cases that we could use here, right? So let's see the architecture. Yeah, now we are going to be more focused in the resources from Azure, in the architecture, more technical things, and understand a few things here. The first one is why, in a very fast moment, in a very fast time, we can develop a good architecture in where we can extract these use cases, and also why the conversational language understanding and different models can combine here in order to provide us that benefits that we are looking for. For example, let's see. I am at the left. I am using my own image. Sorry for my for my model photos. Let's imagine that I am start using the computer, the laptop, and in the laptop we have a chatbot. So here, what we are building, and what we are going to show now. We are building an Azure function. An Azure function is a serverless function in the Azure platform with which we can put some code and we can call this function, apply some code, and return the response. Okay, so which is the focus here? There is a chatbot. I type some text. When I click enter, this text call an Azure function, do the magic thing, and return the response. And then the chatbot will give me the response. Okay, this is the common use case, and we can use GPT here for many cases. But what is happening here? Here we were commenting 4 use cases. The first one was simple conversation. Okay, I type something, send to the Azure function. The Azure function will connect with OpenAI, detect the information, and detect the response about my prompt, and return to the chatbot. And then I can read. Okay, what is the second one? The second one is that I want to analyze a database. In this case, I am